Hi everyone, I'm Celia Ramsay, and today I'd like to start a short series of mill songs for my podcasts by singing the Jute Mill Song written by Mary Brooksbank. Here's how that goes. Oh dear me, the mill is getting fast, the poor wee shifters canna get nae rest. Shiftin bobbins, coarse and fine, they fairly mak you work for your 10 and 9. That's the chorus, and I will sing the whole song at the end, but first let me tell you about jute. Jute is a fiber produced from the coarse plant, and rather like linen is produced from flax. Jute is very strong. It's used for products like rope, fabric for burlap bags, which is also known as hessian, and the backings of carpets and rugs. Coarse is predominantly grown in India and Bangladesh. The image that you can see at the moment is something I borrowed from Wikipedia just to show you what it looks like. And because these places hadn't figured out how to successfully mill the jute, in 1790, the British began importing raw fiber to Dundee in Scotland, which was already known for its linen mills. Thanks in part also to the Scottish whaling industry, a Dundee local, who we do not know the name of, realized that jute could be machine spun by using whale oil in the initial part of the milling process. And this is what spurred development of a very successful Dundee jute mill industry.
Now they're called, in Dundee, they're heckles.
Heckles.
Some people call them hackles. In Dundee, they were heckles, which is just nails. Just like women combing your hair, you're taking all the bark and the rubbish out, and when it comes out that one, that's the way it comes out.
So was the oil just to make the system work well, or was
Yes,
it needed
to make
for
it strong.
It was actually needed
Yes.
for
It was in the jute.
It was in
No,
the jute.
it's oil-
It
whale
comes
oil.
out that,
Yes.
that spray, it goes into the jute and it sits there and lets the
It was
oil
sprayed
soak
onto the
right
jute
into it.
though, yeah.
Now this is...
By the 1900s, demand for jute was waning due to the increased production in Calcutta and Bangladesh, ironically because the Dundee jute barons helped set up and run mills there. It wasn't considered too much of an issue for those guys since they had ownership stakes in the Indian and Bangladeshi productions. But back in Dundee, where the jute industry employed 50% of the local people and 2/3 of those were women, it created a major crisis. It didn't help that the previous boom in jute had actually attracted more workers and created slums and poor living conditions. This move to India started in 1855, and it created massive unemployment in Dundee, especially after World War I. Since those difficult years, Dundee has successfully reinvented itself. It was originally known for raw wool export back in the Middle Ages. Then it was known for linen production later. And then in the mid to late 1800s, it kind of morphed into its fame of jute, jam, and journalism due to its famous orange marmalade and also print media heritage, in addition to the jute mills. It's the 4th largest city in Scotland and now is known for tech and medical industries and also for electric vehicle production. So I spin and knit wool, and that means I'm naturally interested in how fiber is produced. So in 2017, my husband and I were in Scotland, and we made a visit to the Verdant Works in Dundee. I'll put a link below, which is a jute mill repurposed into a museum about jute. It was horrible, boring work on dangerous machines that were so loud they would ruin your hearing. Our guide, who was named Lily, had worked in the mills starting when she was a girl and had a lot to say about the difficulties as she explained the process and even demonstrated some of the very noisy machines.
My family were all deaf.
Machines. If you find yourself in Dundee, the Verdant Works is definitely worth a visit. Back to the song. Mary Brooksbank, who wrote the Jute Mill Song, was born in an Aberdeen slum, and she began working illegally at age 12 in the jute mills as a bobbin shifter. She got a taste of the activism that was a major part of her life at 14 when the girls that she worked with successfully protested and won a 15% pay raise. She grew up with trade unionist parents, and that undoubtedly influenced her social activism. When money was tight, she'd busk in Tayport on the other side of the Firth, and her songwriting reflected her feelings for working women in the mills. So here's the entire song, but first a little bit of vocabulary. 10 and 9 is 10 shillings and 9 pence. And someone in comparable work today would probably earn double its equivalent. So imagine housing, feeding, and clothing your children on roughly what would be $570 per week now. Other vocabulary for this is bairn. A bairn is a baby. Doon is down. Shifters are the people who change full bobbins of fiber for empty ones. Also, there's I maun bide contented, and that means I must live contented. So I'm going to sing the song for you. I have a little bit of an accompaniment to go with it because I think that makes it a little bit easier for you to understand the context. So we'll go here just a second with that, I think. Oh dear me, the mill is gaen fast. The poor wee shifters canna get nae rest. Shiftin bobbins, coarse and fine, they fairly mak you work for your 10 and 9. Oh dear me, I wish the day was done. Runnin up and doon the pass is nae ony fun. Shiftin, piecin, spinnin, wark, weft and twine, to feed and cled my bairn offa 10 and 9. Oh dear me, the mill is gaen fast. The poor wee shifters canna get nae rest. Shiftin bobbins, coarse and fine, they fairly mak you work for your 10 and 9. Oh dear me, the world is ill divided. Them that works the hardest are aye the least provided. But I maun bide contented, dark days or fine. There's no much pleasure livin' for 10 and 9. Oh dear me, the mill is gaen fast. The poor wee shifters canna get nae rest. Shiftin bobbins, coarse and fine, they fairly mak you work for your 10 and 9. Thank you for watching. Check out my other podcast.